Interview and job search strategies that work. So you've just graduated from high school. Your future is in front of you. Like, what I want to do? I want to do these things. Maybe you don't want to spend a lot of money going to college. Maybe you don't want to go to college, but you want a job. And your options are very slim, to say the least. Meaning you could work at a factory for the summer months. You could work at a fast food restaurant. You could work at Walmart. And maybe you have the desire to get into the IT industry, but you're just not sure how to do it. And here's a solution, or here's a strategy to think about. Joining the reserves, the military reserves, or in this case, joining the U.S. Army reserves to get an IT job later. So it's a little different than the active duty. So you have, on one hand, you have active duty. On the other hand, you have reserves. So in active duty, you go to AIT or basic training, then you go to AIT, and usually that's for the IT industry anyway. That could be 6 months to a year. Let's say 6 months, and then afterwards, in active duty, it's a 4 or 6 year commitment, and the pay rates are accordingly. You work all the time. You get to travel. You run every day. You do, PT every day for that 4 years time, and then slowly but surely, you make the rank of E4 or sergeant after your 4 year enlistment usually. So you've moved up from, say, E1 to a E5 in 4 years. On the other side, you have the reserve. In the reserve, you still go to basic training. You still go to AIT, Advanced Individualized Training. The same stuff that the other people do, the other active duty do. The difference being is after you go through AIT, now you're assigned to a station, a duty station, local to you. Could be a couple hours away, whatnot. And you do 1 week in a month, so you're training 1 week in a month, meaning you put on a uniform, you go out to the Army Reserve, the Army Reserve, and you do a mission. You might do PT, you might do workshops for your skill set, you could do a lot of stuff. And it's usually 2 weeks a year, and so I have 1 week in a month and 2 weeks out a year. The difference being is, on one hand, full time, you're limited in your money. You every 6 months usually get promoted, and then on the other hand, the reserve, after you're done with your training, you're a regular person. You're not full time active duty. You can go get a full time job. So the benefit of going reserve is you have the credibility. You have the piece of paper, the validation. I say piece of paper, meaning when you go through AIT, they give you a certificate of achievement or a certificate of accomplishment. So that enables you to go and get a job. Not the piece of paper necessarily, but the skills that you have now. And I'm going to go through 3 jobs that you could do in the Army and AIT that you could go through. And I'm going to give you a resource, such as like a YouTube link that you can go and view it yourself. And I'm going to explain the different certifications that you can get with these 3 different type of jobs. Okay. So first one is a 25B or 25 Bravo. It's an information technology specialist. So every information is in the show notes, in the links to the show notes. If you go to tunein.com and you just search this podcast name and tune in, you'll see all the links. For some reason, Anchor doesn't put up the links nicely. So if you go to tunein.com and just type in the name of the podcast, you'll find the links in the show notes. So a information technology specialist. It maintains a computer system. So here's the title, right? It says the information technology specialist installs, operates, and maintains computer system and local area networks, performs systems administration, and maintains computer and servers within the computing environment and the network environment, performs network administration, installs, configures, and maintains network equipment within the LAN, local area network, installs, operates, and maintains commercial off-the-shelf equipment, for example, routers, switches, desktops, and laptops computers, provides systems administration to tactical battle command servers and the Tactical Operations Center, provides systems administration and direct support for information dissemination and content staging, performs information assurance, IA, so that's the cybersecurity stuff, provides the security services and attributes of availability, authentication, confidentiality, integrity, and non-repudiation network operations service desk management, which includes incident and problem processing, change request processing, availability management, and user interface. Assists with the planning, configuration, management, and monitoring of the wide area network. And what that basically means is, in general terms, right? You're going to learn about systems. You're going to learn about computers. So Windows servers, probably some Linux servers as well. You're going to learn about Cisco routers, probably some Juniper routers as well. You're going to learn about firewalls, such as FortiGate or Juniper, Sonic Wall, these type of firewalls. You're going to learn about ticket management systems, such as Remedy or ServiceNow. And you're going to learn about how the overall network looks. How do I plan, conduct an audit, site survey of an environment. How do I patch the server? How do I add it to the domain? A lot of Active Directory as well. It doesn't say that, but that's what that means. So some of the certifications that go along with this are the Cisco Network Plus, the CompTIA Network Plus, the Cisco CCNA, the CompTIA Security Plus, the ITIL, so it's the ITIL, which is like a framework of how to do tasks in a company. And also, the other certification is a Microsoft Certified Professional, or a Microsoft Certified Solutions Architect, Associate rather, as well as a CCNP, so Cisco Certified Network Professional. So just in those two, right? So you have two things. You have the school training, you have the credentials, you have the credibility now, like, oh, I've been in the military, you've went and you've got the training, you understand the lingo. Now you walk into a company, you say, I'm a reservist. Awesome, fantastic. You have instant credibility right away. The other thing is, so some of those certifications that you have, entry level, just in this knowledge, is probably going to be $40,000 a year. In entry level, 100% entry level, $40,000 a year, and that depends on where you live, really. So you're looking at right away going, let's say you're in high school and you go through the training, say it's, done with high school, going to the training. 6 months later, you get out and you get a job. You can make $40,000 right off the bat, right there. Now, obviously it doesn't stop there, and if you're content with that, great. But if not, there's a chance that you can make a lot more. And usually the cap on this type of job is about $120,000 usually. It depends on where you live, but usually $120,000. And of course, working from home, because there are jobs that do systems administration that work from home. That's usually about 80 to 100,000 working from home if you get to a certain level. So some of the type of job titles associated with this, 25 Bravo Information Technology Specialist, are systems administration, network administration or network administrator, system engineer, you could throw that in there as well, network engineer. It really depends on the type of knowledge you have or what type of skills you get, because this is a foundational knowledge. What you learn here in the Army is foundational knowledge. Typically, it's going to be 8 to 10, 12 hours a day of training. It's repetitive. And there's a test afterwards. And this is, of course, after you've done basic training, which is 2 miles. I think you pass 2 miles run in so many minutes, and then you passed basic training. And then you other things. You learn how to you work as a team. That's another valuable skill that you learn. And yeah. So that's for the 25 Bravo, which is Information Technology Specialist. I've also put in the show notes a link to a YouTube video. It's like 5 things people shouldn't tell a recruiter. I'll just tell you one. If you've ever had eczema, don't tell your recruiter you have eczema, because they won't let you go in the military. If you ever had flat feet and you know it, don't tell them that, and see if you can't get around that somehow. Because they won't let you. Everything you tell them you can't do. Oh, I can't do this because of. Let's say you tell them for instance, you've eczema, right? Don't tell them that, because they won't let you go in. If you've ever had it and you don't have it anymore, just buy the cream before you get to basic or when you're in basic training. Just put it on as needed. Of course, there are some weight requirements. So if you're a certain weight, they do like a body fat. So if you're 300 pounds and you're 5'2" and you're a male, most likely probably you're not going to take you, because you're pretty overweight. You're way out of their spec. So they have a scale that they go off of. Who they take. The other thing is your jobs that you have are based on how well you do in your ASVAB. So I'll put a link to the ASVAB, the test that they administer in the military. Moving along to the second career of 3 that I'm talking about in this one, and that is a 25 Delta or 25D, which is a cyber network defender. So a cyber network defender, I'll read it. It says, perform the duties associated with the 5 computer network defense specialties. For instance, infrastructure support, analyst, incident responder, auditor, and manager. Information assurance technician, or technical rather, levels 1 through 3. Information assurance management, IAM, levels 2 through 3. So functions as required by the skills in accordance with AR 25-2 and the DoD 8570.01.m. And I'm not sure if, I'll just pause brief here with this. If anybody's looking for a government job right now, as a contractor, for instance, you might recognize this 8570. So the 8570 requires that you have a Security Plus to get a job on the military network. The good thing about this is they're going to get you that certification while you get there, because you need to have it. So moving on. Protects against monitors performs analysts of response to and detects unauthorized activity in the cyberspace domain. That's a key word now, cyberspace, which includes deployment and administration of the C&D infrastructure, or the computer network defense infrastructure. Performs deliberate actions to monitor information systems or network configurations in response to computer network defense alert or threat information, collects data gathered from a variety of computer network defense tools to analyze events and warn of attacks that occur within the environment. So basically what that means is it's not a hacker. You're a person that monitors the network. You might do some of the things that to, I guess, thwart off hackers to prevent them from hacking a network, so to speak. And these are really software. You learn some of the software, for instance, like Wireshark, Snort. Those are, for example, some of the tools you're going to learn. You're going to learn how probably to get into a server using tools like Hiram's bootcd or ERD Commander. The upside of this skill set, the 25 Delta Cyber Network Defender, is that's a hot thing right now. IA, information assurance, or cyber awareness, cyber security, right? Some of the certifications that you get with this MOS, this job, are Certified Ethical Hacker, Cisco Certified Network Associate, the Global GIAC, Global Industrial Cyber Security Professional, the Certified Linux Administrator, the CompTIA Linux Plus, the Cyber Security First Responder, the CompTIA Security Plus. So the range of pay for this, I just remembered a tool that they use. It's called Splunk. So that monitors logs. For instance, what a company does is they hire like IA people, information assurance people, or cybersecurity people. And what they're doing is they collect logs from, they just have logs turned on, and they're monitoring the network all the time, and they collect this data. And then they use tools like Splunk, for instance, that they sift through these logs and say, okay, this is an unauthorized entry into our network. Okay, let's find out where it's from. How can we prevent it from the future or in the future? They also use tools like intrusion detection systems and intrusion prevention systems, like IP cop, IP fire, sonic wall, FortiGate, Cisco ASA, so a Cisco firewall. So the type of jobs that you can expect to get, or the salary range actually you can expect to get, is quite higher than normal. You can expect to start off probably like at 65 a year, roughly. So that means after the training, you are done with AIT, then you can walk into a job making like 65, 68 a year. And that's your first job. So going from high school, 6 months, 8 months later, you're making 65 a year, 68 a year. And it just goes up from there. So that's the second job. And the third one is a 25 November, which is a Nodal Network Systems Operator Maintainer. Okay, so the 25 in November is Nodal Network Systems Operator Maintainer. And I'll read the description. The Nodal Network Systems Operator Maintainer supervises, installs, operates, and performs field-level maintenance on IP-based high-speed electronic nodal systems, which are nothing more than switches, or, basically switches, or what's the 192s, or optical carriers. Could be something involved in microwave telemetry, integrated network controller systems, network management facilities, associated multiplexing and transit case subscriber interface equipment, communications, security, ComSec devices, and other equipment associated with network nodal operations. Perform network management functions in support of maintaining, troubleshooting, and re-engineering of nodal assets as needed in support of operational requirements. So what that means is basically you're in the field, basically. So if you ever thought of like a phone company or a network phone company, and what you're doing is you're going out to the field in this particular job skill or what they're doing, what they're talking about. You have these cases, mobile subscriber cases, basically, and when you go out to the field, you have to set up communications for the individuals behind you to communicate, and then in front of you as well. So for instance, like say they need to relay information from 20 miles away or 100 miles away. Well, they don't have cell phones in the field in some cases. They do, but this is you creating your own environment network, basically, using this. So in the back, you have an individual commander will pick up their phone, their military phone, its equivalent, and they make a call to the front of the field. So they call that they call it a theater, basically, but it's in the front, the very front of the field, and that's something like they need to do something in the front, and you're in the middle, so you're relaying that message. So it could be a combination of satellite or microwave, as well as running cable, like fiber optic cable, to your front. So for instance, you could probably say from their phone in the rear, they pick up their phone, they're calling. There's a cell tower that you're setting up a cell tower essentially. You're providing communications for it. In front of you, maybe you have a fiber optic, you have a microwave, you have a satellite shot going to the front. So maybe it's 100 miles dispersity from, maybe a better analogy would be from, you want to call someone in the next town over, but you need a way to talk to them. You need communication lines. And so what you do in this job is you are the mobile cell phone company, mobile internet company that makes that happen. And some of the hardware that you're dealing with, right, are Cisco routers. They are some Alcatel. It might not be Alcatel. It might be Cisco. The big fiber optic switches. You could be dealing with some of those. You could be dealing with some storage devices. You could be dealing with some of the satellite communication, microwave communication. You've probably driven down the highway before, and the left or the right, and you'll see like this big tower, and it has like an antenna on it, and you recognize it as a cell phone tower, or you recognize it as a cell tower, and it has a dish in the front pointing somewhere. Well, that's exactly the same thing you'll be doing in this with regards to this, except you'll be attached to the dish or the microwave tower on the side. You'll plug up your communications. You'll have the generator power, all of that. Now, mind you, if you're in the reserve, you don't do this full time. You just do this 1 week in a month, 2 weeks of the year. But if you're active duty, you do this all the time. So for this job, when you get out, it's the same as if you wanted to work for a cell phone company or an ISP, internet service provider, like say Comcast, for instance, or iDirect is a prime example. It's a satellite provider, and what you're doing is you're working there. Let's see, what's the pay like? 50, 55 a year or something like that to start off because of the depth of knowledge you have in regards to this. If I were to Google this job, so I would put in like network operations center, so like a command and control, monitoring all the network. So this could be working at, say, an internet service provider that makes sure all the networks are up. And you don't look at the networks, you're more looking at like the infrastructure. Is the infrastructure happy? Is their traffic being passed from A to B? So for instance, your job would be in the real world from this would be there are circuits like T1s or T3s or OC192s, OC3s, like optical carriers. A company will buy, let's say Comcast. They'll give Comcast money to, or AT&T. The customer will give them money to put up a link from, say, one town to this town, and they want that path, they want that link to be 100 meg or a gig of internet. And what your role is to make sure that's up all the time. And once it's set up, it's good. But sometimes it does take hiccups, and so you might you have tools, of course, that do all this, like SolarWinds does this for you, and a number of other tools, but SolarWinds comes to mind. It's this job in the civilian sector. It's more of a planning for something to go down and reacting as needed. It's not every day. It's a common thing. Another thing that is associated with this is planning for, say, it's not listed, but I know what it is. It's called disaster recovery. So in the event that one of the links goes down, for instance, a company buys a link from from AT&T, and they say, okay, we got to have redundancy. So your job, you have part of a team, of course. Your job is to make sure that there's a redundant path. Maybe, let's say, for instance, there's a hurricane, unfortunately, that goes in the area, and a company has a data center. Well, they're paying for your company's services to make sure they have internet all the time. And your role is to just reroute that traffic somewhere else. You might have, let's say, AT&T and Comcast, two different links, and it's going out two different paths. For instance, it's, so a hurricane unfortunately comes in, takes down a link or a fiber line, basically, and then the traffic's routing another path. Maybe a bridge. A bridge, there's a fire on a bridge. It's a bridge over a lake or something like this, and the fiber is on that bridge, and that gets cut. Well, you have to have another path around maybe another bridge or another path to get to its destination to provide services for that end customer. Out of the three jobs, the one that really has a lot of potential to go even more is got to be the 25 Delta, which is a cyber network defender, because that's what people want nowadays. They want that type of skill set. Companies are hiring for that left and right, and you walk into this, you have the skill set. You go to AIT, you get the skill set. You have the credentials because now you're part of the military, and you walk into a company, and your competition is less, because sure, they have a degree, and sure, they have experience. So do you a little bit, but the fact that you have the military does carry some weight. And here's something else to think about. Individuals that they go to college and they get the same type of degree, the same type of job you have, but they get a degree in it, let's say. So they go, your peers now, they go in and they do 4 years. Let's say they go 4 years in college, let's just say. So they go 4 years of college, and then they start earning money. Well, you've already done that. And maybe they start at a higher level, let's say. Maybe they started at 100,000 after 4 years. So that means they essentially would have, and they still have to pay their college loan, essentially. Well, in the reserves or the Army and military, you can start right away. Within a year, you can make, for this particular one, like, 80,000 or so. a little more than 80,000 a year. And so in 4 years' time, you could beat the high end of the spectrum, the high end of the pay scale. And who knows where this job is going to take you in the future? Who knows the other skills you're going to learn off of this? So you have those years of experience because you've been in the service, and that 6 months or 8 months of time that you had to put in is worth it. So I've included a link to an ASVAB test online, and you can just look at it. ASVAB stands for Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test. And the ASVAB is the same for every branch, I think. I'm pretty sure that's right. Okay, now I'm going to tell you about a job that you do not want to get in the military. And that's 11 Bravo. Not that I'm knocking 11 Bravos, infantrymen, but don't do that in the military. It's a great, it is what it is. But if your goal is to earn money when you get out, and not that they don't, but try to get a tech. Your objective here is not just to go in and learn, work out and do. Your objective is to go in and to learn something, to get a job, so you can earn money, so you don't have to work. You can eventually work from home, or you can eventually just not have to work because you build up a skill set, and then you've created content for yourself, and now you haven't necessarily retired, but you're self-sufficient. Your money makes money essentially, and so you give yourself probably 3 or 4 years on this road. Every skill you learn, this skill set, these skills, these jobs, every time you learn something new about it, it just enhances your ability, and eventually you're going to get to the point where you can work from home. And then from there, now you can go and maybe start your side hustle. You can start getting more skills, and now your money makes money for you. I hope everybody found value in this podcast. If you can follow me on Twitter at Gary McNeely IT, or you can go to my website, GaryMcNeelyIT.com. Both are in the show notes. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.